Really? Okay. Mr. Saunders, Councillor Saunders, could you please? Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Frontenac County Council meeting for Wednesday, July the 16th. So we read this now, but this is at 9:30, right? Oh, okay. So we begin this gathering by acknowledging and celebrating these traditional lands as a gathering place for the First Peoples and their ancestors who are entrusted to care for Mother Earth since time immemorial. We do so respecting both the land and the Indigenous people who continue to walk with us through this world. Today, the county is committed to working with Indigenous peoples and all residents to pursue a united path of reconciliation. Item A, we move into a closed session.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Fowler. Resolved that council resolve itself into committee of the whole closed session is authorized under section 239 of the Municipal Act to consider the adoption of the closed minutes of meeting held May 21, 2025, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, as it relates to the performance appraisal of the Chief Administrative Officer, labor relations or employee negotiations as it relates to negotiations with QP 109, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board as it relates to the acquisition of land for the K&P Trail.
Are there any comments? In favor? Carried. We're now into closed session. I'd like to call this open meeting of County of Frontenac's council meeting for July the 16th to order. We begin this gathering by acknowledging and celebrating these traditional lands as a gathering place of the first peoples and their ancestors who were entrusted to care for Mother Earth since time immemorial. We do so respecting both the land and the indigenous people who continue to walk with us through this world. Today, the county is committed to working with indigenous peoples and all residents to pursue a united path of reconciliation. We return to council.
Moved by Councillor Leonard, seconded by Deputy Warden Saunders. Resolved that council rise from closed session, that the rules of procedural bylaw 2022-0026 be waived, and that the warden report.
We can do that now. The report now. Okay, all in favor? Carried. So from the closed council meeting, we received two reports regarding negotiations and land acquisitions, and the clerk will present the following motions.
Moved by Councillor Gowdy, seconded by Councillor Greenwood Spears. Be it resolved that the warden and clerk be authorized to execute a 3-year collective agreement effective January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2027 with CUPE Local 109 of the Canadian Union of Public Employees, which represents the county's Marine Services crew.
Comments? In favor? Carried.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Fowler, that the warden and clerk be authorized to execute an agreement of purchase and sale with the landowner of 14176 Road 509 should a negotiated price be within the parameters set by council.
Any comments? In favor? Carried. We have no addendum. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Nikki?
Yes, on item information reports B, corporate services, rural and southern Frontenac community services, first quarter transportation report, it's my place of employment.
Thank you. Okay. Adoption of the minutes of June 18th, 2025.
Moved by Councillor Leonard, seconded by Deputy Warden Saunders. Resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting held June 18th, 2025 be adopted.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Delegations and presentations. Dr. Terry Lynn Brennan, Executive Director of Lodgepole Arts, will provide us with a presentation on the planned 2025 National Indigenous Presenters Gathering. The art of it. How to make an entrance, the art of visiting in October. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Sego. Good morning, everyone. Sego's gonna go say Wagwego, Watwanum Maradon, Terry Lynn Brennan Junguts, Gunyiga Haga British, Nadododan, Goweno Gweski, Goweno De Gunyagari, Oshwigan Jidron. So good morning. Hello and welcome to this land. If some of your ancestors are not originally from here, mine are. My name is Terry Lynn Brennan. I do identify of mixed heritage, British and Mohawk. I currently live on Wolfe Island, and my family comes from Six Nations of the Grand River at the other end of Lake Ontario. I'm a proud Wolfe Islander, and I'm also very grateful to hear the land acknowledgement that I actually helped write, if not wrote. So that's always a treat to hear. Thank you so much, Warden, members of County Council, for having me this morning and giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit about our gathering again this year. I was very fortunate to come and present to some of you last year about it, and it's in a broader context, and the successes of such have brought me back. So now let's see if I can make this work. So for those who aren't yet familiar with our organization, Lodgepole Arts Alliance is a charitable not-for-profit where we support Indigenous arts and creatives in platforming and presenting their work of all genres and trying to basically bring emerging professionals and or veteran professionals in the arts sector to the communities that we live amongst and help make more folks aware of the diversity of Indigenous arts and artistry across the county. We are located out of the hotel, Wolf Island, and we've been part of that residence for 5 years now, and very happy with the partnership that we have with the hotel and helping to present Indigenous artists and artistry. Last year in October, we held the first ever annual, what became an annual Art of Visiting gathering. It was a National Indigenous Presenters Gathering. There has never been a National Indigenous Presenters Gathering. There is always national presenters gatherings and locals across each of the provinces and the regional Atlantic area. And through my previous or ongoing, I guess, work and previous job, I am privy to that information in knowing that this type of Indigenous work has never gone on, or this type of gathering has never gone on. And so we hosted it at the Hotel Wolf Island last year for 4 days, and it was brought to great success. We had folks who came from all over Canada and truly walked away feeling that this event was not only worth their time and effort, but was really starting to come together in a way that was exactly what we were hoping, in the sense of having Indigenous artists start to get to know one another from coast to coast and help support each other through our own networks. So by the numbers, what this inaugural event did, it brought in over 40 presenters and artists to Wolf Island in the region. We had over 152 in-person participants over the 3 days, and folks came from 6 different provinces, from Newfoundland, New Brunswick, all over Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. And no one had ever been to Wolf Island or even the whole of the Frontenac area before, and they all fell in love with it tremendously. We brought in a amount of what became close to $14,000 in accommodations for local hotels and B&Bs. We brought in over $4,800 in local meals and food from caterers and ongoing food distribution area restaurants and pubs. And we brought in over $40,000 worth of Indigenous artistry and facilitators for the event to enjoy the county and to enjoy the islands and to say they're coming back. Our partnerships for last year were extensive in the sense of both national organizations such as the Indigenous Performing Arts Alliance and the Canadian Arts Presenters Association, but also a range of regional organizations, from the Blue Moose and the Hotel on Wolf Island, the Spark, supporting the arts in rural and remote areas, is an Ontario-based not-for-profit. The Kingston Association of Museums, who is also another one of our main partners, the Kingston Film Festival, the Pros and Cons program, as well as RTO Kingston was one of our funders, and the Ontario Arts Council was one of our funders, and the federal government Department of Heritage ended up being one of our funders a bit after the fact, as well as yourselves and Frontenac County did also support a bit of our endeavors, and we were very grateful for that help towards our event last year. This year, we're doing it again. So October 6th through 9th is going to be another opportunity to bring in more folks. We have a greater awareness across the country. Our platform is more pronounced, and we have gained a more diverse range of artists that are excited to come and participate in the event. It is something that I think is really important for Frontenac County, and it's certainly tied to the destination plan that came out a few years ago. And I make note of that in the points there, that it actually ties right into the language of making a commitment to work with Indigenous voices and recommending to elevate the arts and culture across Frontenac County. We already anticipate a participation growth of over 25%. Actually, I think we're going to exceed that and then some. We have folks coming in now from all over again Canada and in farther places from BC up to the Yukon and Iqaluit. We also have, the opportunity to promote and produce a range of Indigenous artistry, again, from the local region as well, and have an Indigenous makers market that is also bringing opportunities for regional Indigenous producers to share their own wealth. And as a not-for-profit charity, we also are always looking for extended partners. If any of you know of anybody else in the region who might be interested in supporting our event, we do give out tax receipts. This year, we have already gained funding from the federal government in the FedDev, Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario, for their tourism grant project. We have also confirmed in-kind donations from the islands. Frontenac Islands have also donated in-kind. Of just less actually than $2,000. It's $1,810. I found the council notes this past week to confirm the amount of an in-kind donation of using the Wolf Island Community Center and the Township Hall, where we have yoga first thing in the morning, which is very exciting for everybody, and then using the community center for our outdoor gathering. And we have funding as well coming from the Kingston Association Museums from their annual Heritage Grant. And the Grand Theater has also donated the theater for a day and an evening to showcase some Indigenous artists there in association with the Creative Cities Summit that is coming to Kingston. And we are encouraging all those folks to come over to the island and see us at the hotel for more of our events. This year, we have also confirmed again Sheila Rogers, a well-known CBC broadcaster, who will be in conversation with Jesse Wente, also another very well-known broadcaster. And they're going to talk about the art of visiting, which actually has its roots in a conversation that Sheila had with Harold C. Johnson, who has since passed. And he was a very prominent author as well, and happens to be the father of our feather carrier, our chairperson of our council and a long-term friend of mine. Richard Van Camp, a well-known Northern Northwest Territories author, especially kids author, is also confirmed. And then we have Christine Friday coming back to do a variety of different dance and workshop opportunities. And then we're bringing Dave Mowat, who's from Alderville First Nation, and his blues trio back to also open the event at the dinner. And so we have a range of events and activities. We have workshops for Indigenous and non-Indigenous participants and presenters that are going to be there because we want to encourage the reality that we all have to work together to build our sectors, and certainly the arts sector, and give all of the artists, Indigenous artists, an opportunity to flourish and to grow. But we also have to nurture our relationships. And so last year, we started off the dinner as a means to try and lay the platform of the type of event we were going to create. And we called it the Kistwenta dinner. And the Kistwenta is actually the two-row wampum in Mohawk. And it identifies the relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples, where we walk side by side, honor and respect each other in friendship and peace. But yet we work together in the sense of maintaining that relationship, renewing that relationship every year, and honoring that relationship in ensuring that we share the wealth around us and keep our relationships honest and intentional going forward. Last year, we started off the event with this amazing dinner, which I believe some of you came to, and I hope that you enjoyed it. I've heard nothing but great things about it. I don't think I've heard any bad things about it. And it was a combination of that Kistwenta understanding. We had Mohawk chef Lee Arden Lewis, and we had non-Indigenous chef Colin Johnson, who is the head chef for Queen's University. They collaborated together on an amazing meal that they came up with, 3-course meal. And we had over 80 folks in the room that came and sat with that meal. If you didn't get an invite last year, you certainly are going to get one this year. And now that you've had maybe a little bit of a taste test, and there's folks here who participated, they can wine and dine you to say, oh yes, it's worth coming over to the island for. And it really does kick off the full event. And as Indigenous folks do, we like to start off all of our relations with food. And we then continue to eat together going forward in all of the work we do, as well as the relationship building that we do. Therefore, I'm here to request a one-time donation again this year in county partnership with the Frontenac County Council and Warden to support the 2025 Art of Gathering in the way of continuing the relationship that we started last year and supporting cultural tourism, reconciliation, and regional economic development. This money can go straight towards the dinner, and I thought the dinner would be most appropriate to help fund what is around a $15,000 meal after all is said and done for food purchase, which is local food purchase, as well as all of the staff and yeah, just the event itself, believe it or not, especially in today's market. Because simply it is the kickoff of a 4-day event that sets the tone for the event. Everybody comes together in sharing, starting relationships. Folks who've never met one another start that relationship at that dinner. And of course, it's meant for our dignitaries to have an opportunity to meet a variety of Indigenous folks from across the region. So all of the regional chiefs and councils are also invited, as well as the county councils such as yourself. And all of the participants will be there. So thank you very much, Nyawagoa, for listening and for taking the time to think about what I'm presenting and requesting, and I greatly appreciate that time this morning. Nyawagoa.
Thank you for your presentation. We appreciate it. Councilor Greenwood Spears.
Thank you very much for the presentation. And it was a lovely dinner last year, and I expect a lovely dinner again this year, and it was a wonderful success. The only question I really had was in your request and that are your outline at the second last paragraph, that we're commemorating the 1613 Two-Row Wampum Treaty, which was made between the Mohawk and the Dutch. And I was just wondering why you didn't consider the first sale in Upper Canada was done by the Mohawk and the British, and to me that'd be even more important than a sale that was, or a treaty that was made with the Dutch in New York.
Well, that's a great question, and certainly if you wish to take that kind of thought process in regards to the Crawford Purchase and the Gunshot Treaty, certainly the Mississaugas of the Alderville, who also signed off on that treaty, are invited. I just had lunch with the chief last week, although he might not be chief by the end of today because today's their election. But certainly that is absolutely worthy. I think the reason we choose the Costhwenta is because it's earlier. It predates the 1783 Crawford Purchase in the sense that it was the first agreed upon treaty that wasn't a forced treaty through war. It was a Mohawks getting out of the way to allow the Dutch settlers to have land. So it really, in a way, it was much more amicable type of arrangement, where the Crawford Purchase and the Gunshot Treaty came about after the British lost the war and all of their allies. So then the United Empire Loyalists moved north with the Mohawks. So although it is an extremely important date, and glad that you know your history, Mayor Greenwood Spears, but if that's the way you want to look at it, we can certainly honor that as well and make note of it at the time. I just am very, very appreciative of the original intentions of the Costhwenta Two-Row Wampum. But thank you.
Councilor Smith.
I just have a question on the financial ask. Do the attendees to the dinner pay anything for the dinner?
No, it's free. that's the cost. That's why the cost is so high. Again, it's a dignitaries dinner and as well with all the Indigenous presenters. Part of the challenge with anything Indigenous is the limited resources that many Indigenous organizations and folks have. And so one of our initiatives and part of the reason we became an organization was to start to build collateral and capital to support Indigenous artists to begin with, simply because we believe the arts will save the world, if you will, or at least make it a better place. And so none of the Indigenous artists that come pay either. It's one of those caveats that we want to try and uphold as long as we can financially. And the dinner is a dignitaries dinner, so everybody's to come with empty stomachs and an open mind, and yeah, ready for a nice time. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Doctor. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Nyawago.
Okay, the next item is our proclamations, open farms.
Through you, Warden Lichty, I'll just go to the resolve clause. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the County of Frontenac hereby declares September 5, 6, and 7, 2025 as open farms in Frontenac County, and reminds individuals of the importance of this celebration, which supports local agriculture and food businesses in our communities, and further that the county encourages all residents to support local farms and food businesses by participating.
Any comments? In favor? Carried. Move into the committee of the whole.
Moved by Councillor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Smith, that council adjourn and meet as committee of the whole council with the deputy warden in the chair.
Any comments? In favor? Carried.
Good morning, everyone, and I promise to be no loud banging from this end of the table. Welcome, everyone, and especially our special guests and staff. Appreciate you all being here. So the first item on our agenda is the briefing from Mr. Kevin Farrell. You have the microphone, I believe.
Perfect. So good morning, Warden, Deputy Warden, and Council. I'll take you through the CAO update for July 2025. And as always, I will touch on the main points, but happy to answer any questions. So first off, just to highlight a few items from my June schedule. On July 3rd, I participated in an interview with Strategy Corp, who have conducted a survey of CAOs each year since 2016 to explore and report on issues important to municipalities. So a report on that will be compiled and that will come out in the fall. On July 8th, the FMSC held a productive technical support committee meeting where we heard from Michelle Jacoby, CEO of Oro Medontes Municipal Service Corporation. So lots of good insights from her. The group also reviewed preferred water treatment systems and continued the discussion on a draft water use bylaw. The other big news coming out of the FMSC is that their website is close to launching. So any time in the next week or so, we should see that come online. Yesterday, we held an emergency management meeting where we reviewed the plan and updated our hazard identification risk assessments. Thank you to Jeanette for guiding us through the process and to Deputy Warden Saunders for joining the discussion. And this Friday, Warden Lichty and I will be attending a virtual EOWC meeting as the group prepares for the upcoming AMO conference. In terms of a human resources update for recruitment, we've had 223 postings as of July 7th. Ongoing recruitment in all areas of Fairmount, as well as paramedics. For labor relations, QP 2290, which is our Fairmount union, we have an interest arbitration date set for the evening of November 19th. OPSU 462, which is our paramedic union, we're commencing bargaining next week. We have 3 days scheduled, July 22nd to 24th. And as we know, QP 109 members ratified the collective agreement on July 7th, and council approved that here today. Human Resources is also busy with 5 ongoing investigations, 2 mediations and arbitrations. And under miscellaneous, they continue to work on their business plan and preparing for budget, some succession planning pieces, and preparing for bargaining. To kick off the summer, Elvis was in the building, singing, dancing, and participating in photo shoots with residents at Fairmount Home. And on June 19th, the final celebration with the Grand Friends program from Elginburg and District Public School saw residents performing songs and celebrating the special intergenerational relationships developed over the last few months. A few updates from our Frontenac paramedics. A big congratulations to Scott Snyder, who has fulfilled all the requirements to become an advanced care paramedic. The community paramedic program will be welcoming a new remote patient monitoring clerk this month as Danielle Dixon goes back to school to become a paramedic. So we wish Danielle all the best in her studies. In partnership with public health, community paramedics are now able to administer rabies vaccines in the community. Providing this valuable care in patients' homes reduces pressures on the emergency department. And half of our newly hired paramedics have now completed orientation, with the other half close behind. Measurable digital engagements in June were up 22% from the previous month and 20% from the same period last year. With over 105,000 digital engagements, this is an all-time record that we've seen. And by far the most engaged with item from June was an image of a paramedic patient transfer at the airport that also captured the Goodyear blimp in the background. This was captured and submitted by the son of one of our paramedics. Popular posts also included Frontenac paramedics at the Pride Parade and Elvis alive and well at Fairmount Home. The State of the Waterfront survey is still available on Engage Frontenac, and planning staff are planning public information sessions in each township over the summer. Our very own Sonia Bolton attended the National Planning Conference in Toronto this month and presented a session titled Rural Community Building and Communal Services, the Frontenac Model. This session was well attended and generated a lot of interest, and also a big thank you to Dimitri for his role in moderating that session. Planning applications were at a normal level for June, with approximately 40% done through delegated authority. Debbie Miller continues to lead our efforts on healthcare in our community with ongoing implementation work and meetings with clinics and partner agencies. With council's direction, we now have access to the NEST program to help support prospective doctors to our region. We are also looking to move forward with a community working group to help support these efforts. And then some other pieces on the slide. There are some upcoming events, including a provincial funders forum tomorrow, a business network event later this month. I think the slide says June 22nd, but it's actually July 22nd. And the Frontenac Business Retreat is planned for October. So please reach out to Debbie for more details if interested in any of those events. We are currently conducting 2 trail surveys to gather insights from users and businesses located along the trail. This work is being led by one of our summer interns, Jenna Norman, who has been working tirelessly to share the survey. And as of July 9th, we've had 168 responses, so some good feedback already. And I think my final slide, there's an upcoming Kick and Push Century Ride planned for July 20th. Trail maintenance has been ongoing along the trail with grading, compaction, dust suppression, brushing, and mowing. And the Frontenac ATV Club has assisted with the redecking on 2 bridges along the trail. And I don't have a slide for this, but finally I want to extend a very sincere thank you to Phil Piasecki, Kathy Shaw, and the entire finance team who have been working hard to ensure things run smoothly the last couple of months, especially as we begin to prepare for the budget cycle. And that brings me to the end, and thank you to council, and I will take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Any questions, comments? Councillor Greenwood-Spears.
Thank you for the presentation. I was just wondering, when are we going to find out from Frontenac Islands when the date is, since we have about 254 kilometers of shoreline among our islands?
See, I know the slide said to be determined. I'll turn it over to Joe to clarify.
Through you, Deputy Warden, we're working with your CAO right now on determining a date, probably in September. And one of the reasons we're looking at the fall is, unlike the other three townships, a lot of your waterfront properties, there are permanent residents, so we thought it would be more appropriate in September.
The survey will remain open till what date then?
It'll remain open until we finish the consultations.
Other comments, questions? Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Appreciate it. So the next item on the agenda is unfinished business, and we have none. The next item is consent reports from the Chief Administrative Officer. We have none. So the next item is Committee of Management of Fairmont Homes. Move into Committee of Management of Fairmont Homes.
Moved by Counselor Leonard, seconded by Warden Lichty, that Committee of the Whole Council adjourn and meet as Committee of Management of Fairmount Home with the Deputy Warden in the chair.
All those in favor? Passed. So, report number 2025-061 Fairmont Home Q2 quarterly update report. Any comments, questions on that report? Seeing none, the report is accepted. Yes, the report is received. Thank you. Next item is to return to Committee of the Whole.
Moved by Counselor Smith, seconded by Counselor Fowler, that the Committee of Management of Fairmount Home adjourn and revert back to Committee of the Whole Council.
All those in favor? Approved. Next item is recommended reports from the Chief Administrative Officer, consulting briefing. Am I good? Sorry, Lori. I'm going to officially invite you to the podium. And everyone's favorite topic is finances. So
That's right. Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here, actually. The first time I think I've been here in person in quite a while. So pleased to be here to share with you the results of our audit. I know the report immediately following my presentation is the briefing from the management team. So I'll certainly speak to the audit. And as always, if you have any questions, certainly feel free to ask me upon completion of the highlights. I have given you a fairly detailed report with respect to all of the things that we should be having conversations with you around with respect to the audit. However, I will steal its thunder to say, in terms of the audit overall, it really was another great audit year. You will see in our report there were really no significant findings. The team was exceptional to work with again, fully prepared for our arrival, fully cooperative, and again, you will see the quality of the books and records continue to remain high. So starting on page 5 of our report, I will share with you the status of our audit. So we are essentially complete, but just as a reminder, our audit window does officially stay open until council accepts and approves the financial statements. So once that approval does take place, that will be the date upon which we will be able to release our audit report in final. Some of the other things that we will share with you through the course of our audit, we continue to be very much what we call a risk-based audit. So you'll see that on page number 6. Just to give you a highlight, I only come to you once every year upon completion of the audit, but certainly a lot of audit effort goes into the audit at the start of the year in terms of the conversations and the inquiries, in terms of what is new and different, so that we can make those appropriate risk assessments and certainly determine an audit plan accordingly. So one of those pieces in the audit will be a level of materiality. As we all know, we don't sit with the team for months and months looking through 100% of the books and records. We identify a concept of what we call materiality. So you'll see that in the page here. Our overall financial reporting materiality for fiscal 2024 was 1.5 million. That remained the same as the previous year. And really the only reason why that would change significantly is if there was a significant change in the volume of operations on your statement of operations related to either your revenues or your expenses. As part of our audit, we also are required each and every year to make sure that we incorporate an element of unpredictability, because if we come here every year asking the same things and looking at the same things, that would certainly lend itself to a matter of routine that I know the team wouldn't enjoy. So we always certainly incorporate something new and different this year. You'll see that with respect to our fraud risk that is not unique to your organization. We are required to make sure that we do some extra work along the way to make sure that we do incorporate an element of unpredictability. So you can see what we've done this year. An area that can be troublesome certainly relates to employee expenses, and so we've done some work there. We look at, employee and electronic funds transfers, making sure that the reviews and approvals and things are there to make sure that there is internal segregation of duties and certainly a solid base of internal controls. So moving our way through, the next page does tend to garner the attention of council because it is specifically related to a presumed risk of fraud. In addition to the one I previously mentioned, this has been around for a long, long time, more than 10 years now. There is a presumption when we do financial statement audits in Canada that management in their role as management could override controls and report a certain financial statement result. So what that means is each and every year, we actually are required to do certain procedures to make sure that we kick the tires a little bit in terms of the uniqueness that gets into the financial statements, in terms of general journal entries, anything that's sort of non-routine, and make sure that they are reasonable and supported. So we've done that work again this year, and really the highlight to share with you is that there are no issues to identify. The next page in terms of the audit misstatements. So as I said earlier, our overall financial reporting materiality was 1.5 million this year. So when we look at the books and records and the financial statement captions, we audit to a much lower level so that we aggregate to what could be a material impact on the financial statements. So this year that threshold continues to be 5% of that overall number. So in this case was $75,000. We have identified one item that is not included in the financial statements, and you'll see that on the second page. And that's really the remaining contribution that the county will provide to that new Management Services Corporation. There was a 5-year commitment. The first year was included in the financial statements. The remaining 4 was not. You'll see that on the next page. That was only about $110,000. So certainly relative to materiality has no impact on our audit report. That was a unique item this year and certainly did not cause us any concern related to our overall conclusion, and the team will work with that moving forward. Working our way through, you'll see on page number 10 of our report, we often spend a lot of time on the numbers, but a financial statement audit does require us to sit down with the team each and every year to understand the systems, processes, and controls specifically related to financial reporting to make sure that we aren't going to see any significant holes or gaps where there might be best practices. We will use the audit as a mechanism to provide those observations. I'm formally required to tell you if I believe there's a significant deficiency in internal controls. I've certainly not made that determination this year. But what I have done on the next page, and I won't go through each of them in detail, but certainly at a high level, nothing causing us any significant concern, but you will see observations that we've made on page number 11. One particularly around the approval of P card expenses. This has been a unique one across the sector, I would say. Ideally, in an internal control environment, you always have approval of a 1-up. So, if it's a CAO, it would be the council. If it's a supervisor, it would be, someone above that position. So that would be a recommendation that I would share with you moving forward. Also, we made an observation related to the retirement of tangible capital assets. And then certainly the one that's been carried forward for a few years now are gaps that we believe exist in the IT environment. Again, sitting down with the team, understanding what the IT environment looks like relative to others and best practices. So again, observations, but certainly in the grand scheme of things, nothing significant to cause us any significant concerns. In terms of what was new and different this year, you would have heard me say a couple of years ago, there was a lot of change in 2023. Fortunately, 2024 was actually relatively quiet. There was a new accounting standard that came into play that you'll see in the notes to the financial statements specifically related to revenue recognition. But overall, it was certainly a light lift in 2024 relative to 2023 that I know the team was quite happy about. Working our way through in terms of our independence, that's really the beauty that we bring to the table as your external auditors. We're that outside view coming in to look to see what the team has done in terms of the financial statement preparation, along with yourselves in terms of your oversight. We have not provided any non-audit services through the course of the year that might be thought to encroach on our independence. So I'm always required to share with you our reconfirmation of our independence, which takes me really to the final piece I wanted to share with you, which is our draft auditor's report. It's included in my report on page number 18, and it's the very same report that's included at the start of the financial statements, but based on the findings provided here this morning, certainly a clean audit. It is a clean audit opinion. It does take 3 pages to make that determination, but this is what a standard audit report does look like in Canada. So we believe in all material respects, the financial statements do present fairly the financial activities for the year ended December 31, 2024. Lots of other great information with other insights and things that you might be interested, but certainly not specific to the county. Perhaps this is a great place to stop and welcome any questions.
So thank you, Lori, for your presentation. Are there any questions or comments for Ms. Huber? So, sorry, Councillor Greenwood Spears?
No, I was just clarifying that, I hadn't seen this particular report and that, but I understand it was sent as a separate email from our, okay, I'll have
That's
to double
correct. It
check.
was not in an accessible format, so we couldn't upload it, but it was forwarded to council in a separate email.
Okay, thank you very much.
So, Laura, I see no further questions, so I would take that as a pat on the back for the excellent work your group has done in coordination, cooperation with our staff as well. So thank you. And do we need a motion to accept the report? Okay, so thank you again. So the next item on the agenda is 2025, report 2025-064, Corporate Services 2024 County of Frontenac Audited Financial Statements.
Moved by Councillor Leonard, seconded by Councillor Gowdy. Be it resolved that the Council of the County of Frontenac received the Corporate Services 2024 Audited Financial Statement Report, and further that the Council of the County of Frontenac approve the 2024 audited financial statements of the Corporation of the County of Frontenac. And finally, that the County of Frontenac approve the transfer of the year-end surplus of $706,475 to the stabilization reserve.
Comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Approved. Thank you. Next item is report 2025-057, Emergency and Transportation Services, Retained Ambulances Beyond Normal Service Life as Spare Vehicles.
Moved by Councillor Greenwood Spears, seconded by Councillor Smith. Be it resolved that council approve Frontenac paramedics retaining 2 ambulances beyond their normal service life cycle to help address the shortage of spare ambulances.
Comments, questions? We'll start over here. Warden Licky?
So I thought we had 4 ambulances to begin with. Now is this 2 instead of 4, or how many spares are we going to have? I understand the reason for them and don't object to it. I just wanted a total number.
Yes, this would bring us from 4 to 6.
Okay.
No follow-up?
Well, if we, the end of X number of years, when they reach the end of their lifespan, useful lifespan, do we sell them or what do we do with them?
That depends on the vehicle and exactly where we were standing with our spare vehicles at the time. So our issue right now is cost is obviously always an issue, but of more practical significance to us is the availability of the vehicles and our inability to buy additional vehicles. The gap from purchase to receiving the vehicle is 18 months to 2 years. And our problem is if we have a vehicle that goes down, say for a blown engine, that could be out of service for a month and a half to 2 months before that gets repaired. It's a vehicle that we have that is just down now, and we have no spare for that. Excuse me. So in the end, we're just trying to prevent downstaffing of vehicles, I guess, from frontline vehicles with these additional spares.
Thank you for that.
Councillor Fowler?
Yes, if an ambulance is past, like we're talking about ambulances that are basically past their due date.
Correct.
And so is there any way we can get in trouble by using those if we're going against the norm?
No regulatory issue there. The issue becomes expense of additional maintenance costs for those vehicles because they are older. They'll tend to have 250,000 plus kilometers on them, plus running engine hours, which could put it close to about practically 500,000 kilometers on them.
And basically, we aren't going to get in trouble if we're using them.
No, we will not. No.
Thank you. Councillor Greenwood Spears.
Thank you. And so basically you're identifying the ambulances that have already have been refurbished once at least with the back carriage over top. We're talking about the undercarriage of the actual vehicle, correct? Because there is refurbishing that we've been doing for
Right.
ambulances.
We do have remounts. These are though, vehicles that, one is actually a remount. Actually, they both will be remounts by the time we, come to getting that second vehicle, as well. So you are right. The back of the vehicle, the cab, so to speak, the patient care compartment, can be up there upwards of 12 years. And, but the, you know, the nuts and bolts of it, shall we say, is, usually about roughly about a 6-year lifespan.
Okay, and so to follow up with that, since most of our support vehicles are electric and that, and I remember seeing a report of Canadian-made cargo style vehicles down in the Windsor area not being picked up for sales, and that, so they literally have acres of them. And I'm just wondering, are we looking at all at whether or not there's a feasibility of changing what we have for the undermount over to electric for some of the ambulances as well in the future? Because I'm just thinking we might be able to get a bargain
Right.
at some point.
So unfortunately, we are tied into, what the Ministry of Health allows us to buy. We cannot just go out and buy a vehicle and convert it into an ambulance. They have to meet certain Ministry of Health guidelines. And the issue with that is there are very few services that are actually approved by the Ministry of Health. So right now, Crestline and Demers are the big two. There are at least there's a German company called WAS that is right now in the process of attempting to gain their certification through the Ontario government. That might provide us some additional relief when and if they get approved. And there's also a company on the East Coast that is received approval by the province of Ontario to sell ambulances here. However, their production numbers are extremely low at this point, so we won't see any relief from them for a few years. Like they were talking perhaps 6 ambulances this year for the entire province, and maybe from what I've heard, up to a maximum of 40 ambulances for the whole province. When you look at something the size of Toronto that would purchase a couple of hundred ambulances a year, same thing with Peel Ambulance, 50 to plus ambulances a year. That's not a significant, unfortunately, not a significant dent in the overall market.
Yeah, I was basically thinking primarily of the remounts that might come along in that sense.
Yeah, the issue is no one's really selling their remounts, so to speak, only because if they reach end of life, a lot of times what we're doing is we're saving them for parts so that we don't have the downtime on the turnaround for our spare ambulances when they break down.
So Deputy, I'm going to take it from your comments that your organization is well versed in what the options are and you're actively searching out all various options that we can find. Is that a fair statement?
On a daily basis.
Thank you so much.
And just with regards to electronic vehicles, there is one supplier of that right now, Crestline Demers, but that is probably about 4 times the cost of a regular ambulance right now, the way they stand.
So thank you. Seeing no other comments or questions, all those in favor of the resolution? Passed. Thank you. Next report is 2025-058 Corporate Services, authorization to enter in an agreement with Stone Share Inc. The recommendation?
Excuse me, moved by Councillor Fowler, seconded by Councillor Leonard. Be it resolved that council authorize staff to draw up to a maximum of $12,000 from the stabilization reserve to implement City Connections agenda and meeting management solution, and further that the warden and clerk be authorized to enter into an agreement with Stone Share Inc. for its City Connections agenda and meeting management solution.
Comments, questions? Warden Licky?
So mine's more of a comment. I just get used to iCompass. And here we go, switching software platforms again. That's just my comment. Some of us are rather close to a Luddite when we get to this. So the new proposed platform will do everything that the Civic Web platform does.
In terms of meeting management, yes, it will do the same thing. It just does not come with that annual cost.
Okay, so I use iCompass for, accessing agendas, accessing minutes, all that's still going to be there.
That's correct. That will be there,
And there'll be a training session.
of course.
Doesn't always occur. Maybe not here, but it doesn't always occur.
Warden, I want to thank you for your observation and your questions. Councillor Greenwood Spears.
Okay, I just need a little clarity on the expense, because, well, one figure for iCompass is cited plus tax, and that the other one is cited, and it doesn't say that it includes tax, but it also has, also available as an additional 10,000, and that for an additional feature. So to me, that added up to 22,250 plus tax potentially versus the 15,425 plus tax. Am I wrong?
No, that's good. So it is the 12 plus tax. I thought we had fixed the report so that we removed the tax from all of them. The additional feature with the Pro, we are not recommending purchasing. It's more for staff meetings because it integrates with Teams. We do not use Teams for council management. So the essential version is all that we're looking for permission. We just wanted to know that there is that additional add-on. In the future, if we're finding that we are doing more staff meetings, we may come back to council with that ask. But at this point, it's not looking like that because it is more for Teams integration.
Okay, so for clarity, it's the difference of $3,200 basically that we're changing, or is there a distinct advantage in the iCompass?
No, so what we're changing is the City Connections with Stone Share is a $12,000 cost, but it's a one-time cost. We are paying about 16,000 plus for iCompass every year, and that goes up about 5 or 6% each year. So we're saving an annual cost of close to $20,000 each year.
Warden Licky.
One last question. Thank you. Are the townships aware of this, that this is coming or could be coming?
So I will note this to the townships at our next Frontenac Clerks meeting.
Seeing any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Passed. Next item on the agenda is information reports from the Chief Administrative Officer. There are two reports. These are reports for information. I would note that Councillor Gowdy has declared a conflict of interest on report 2025-060. Comments, questions on the information reports? Seeing none, those are received. If I'm still on track, Madam Clerk. The next item is reports from the Advisory Committee of County Council. There are none. Next item on the agenda is return to council.
Moved by Councillor Gowdy, seconded by Councillor Greenwood Spears, that council revert from Committee of the Whole Council to council.
All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. So adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole Council.
Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Warden Saunders, that the report of the Committee of the Whole Council be adopted and that the necessary actions or bylaws be enacted.
In favor? Carried. We have no motions, notice of which has been previously given. Does anyone wish to give a notice of motion? Seeing none. Next issue is, our item is communications. Does anyone have any issue with any of those? Want to bring one forward? Seeing none, that brings us to other business, bylaws.
Moved by Counselor Leonard, seconded by Counselor Fowler. Resolved that leave be given to the mover to introduce bylaws A through D that have been circulated to all members of County Council, and that bylaws A through D be read a first and second time.
Comments? In favor? Carried. Third reading?
Moved by Counselor Leonard, seconded by Counselor Fowler. Resolved that bylaws A through D be read a third time, signed, sealed, and finally passed.
In favor? Carried. And that brings us to the adjournment.
Moved by Counselor Greenwood Spears, seconded by Counselor Gowdy, that the meeting hereby adjourn at 10:24 a.m.
In favor? Carried. Meeting is adjourned.